Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Rabbi Sai, Ketzad, Tanur Rabbanon. 6 lines from the bottom of Lamed Omed Abeis. Exciting stuff. Tanur Rabbanon, Ketzad Sidron. What is the say? This is the famous. This is where it comes from. The famous tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam. Right over here. Ketzad Sidron. Kaddish Li. Kaddish comes first. V'haya Kiviyacha is second. Miyamin. Now, if you read the Gemara, right here, you'll understand where Rabbeinu Tam comes in. It doesn't continue and say, Shema v'hayim shemoya. It says, v'haya Kiviyacha miyamin. On the right side is these two parshas. And then it says, Shema v'hayim shemoya mismo. It should just continue. Kaddish, v'haya Kiviyacha, Shema v'hayim shemoya. That's what Rashi says. Says Rabbeinu Tam, no. Why does the Gemara say Shema v'hayim shemayim mismol? As if we're starting all over again from the left. Kaddish v'hayim Shema v'hayim shemaya. It doesn't say that. It says Kaddish v'hayim is on the right, and now we go to the left. We do Shema on the left. We start from the left this way. V'hayim shemaya says the Rabbeinu Tam. Rashi says no way. Regular, this is how it's in the Torah. Kaddish, V'yikiviyacha, Shema, V'hayim Shemay. That's the order in the Torah, that's how we go. And we paskin like Rashi. Now, what's interesting is that according to Rabbeinu Tam, if you wear tefillin like Rashi, you're not Yotzei. And if, according to Rashi, if you wear it like Rabbeinu Tam, you're not Yotzei. Why? Because that's coming up right now. V'tanya Yibcha, in a second, but we learned the opposite. That what? It's the reverse. It's V'hayim Shemaya, Shema, V'yikiviyacha Kaddish. Says the Gemara, Amar Abaye Lekashya, Kan mimino shel koira, Kan mimino shel maniach. It depends how you look at it. We're talking about you. This is Shema, this is Kaddish. Red is Kaddish, blue is V'hayim Shemaya. When I'm wearing my tefillin shel Rosh, she doesn't fall out. When I'm wearing my tefillin Rosh, and the person looking at me, the guy watching on camera, that's what the Gemara is talking about. Kaddish, V'yikiviyacha, Shema, V'hayim Shemaya. But for me, my right is V'hayim Shemaya, Shema, V'yikiviyacha, Kaddish. So that's why it says the reverse in the Brisa, but they're saying the same exact thing. Depends on what you're looking in the mirror. The person looking at you is Kaddish, but the person wearing the tefillin, not. The person reading it, Kaddish v'yavikacha, Shema v'yim shemaya, that's the order in the Torah. Oh, good thing I remembered. According to Rabbeinu Tam, Rabbi Sai, not to get mixed up over here, according to Rabbeinu Tam, you must write the parashiyos the same way Rashi writes them, in the same order, because that's the order in the Torah. Kaddish v'yavikacha, Shema v'yim shemaya. If you were to write them, V'hayim Shemaya, the cipher would write V'hayim Shemaya, and afterwards Shema, according to Rabbeinu Tam, Pasul. You got to write them in that order, but the way you insert them in the tefillin box. According to Rabbeinu Tam, this is the order. You write green before blue. If you write blue before green, V'hayim Shemaya before Shema, Pasul. But according to Rabbeinu Tam, once you write it in that order, now you insert it into the box in the opposite order. Omer Rav Chananel, Omer Rav. This is what the Belzer was telling me. That Rav Chananel is all over these sugyas because he was a sofer, and you find him here mainly in Shas, not in other places in Shas. Hechlif parshiyos se'ab psulos. If you do what I just did, you mix up the blue and the green. According to Rashi, this tefillin is possible. If you were to wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin your whole life, you're kakafta the lemanach tefillin. You never wore tefillin in your life. Omer Abaye. Now we're holding up Lamed Hey Yomad Aleph. Comes Abaye, and he says, let me just say what Balpeh, and then we can fly through it inside. Super easy. There's two outer ones. The red and the blue are the outer. The green and the purple are the inner. Says Abaye, if you mix up the red and the blue, it's not a problem. You take it out of the right side, and you take this one from the left and you put on the right, and the red from the right you put on the left. It's still kosher. Why? Because they get a view. The whole point is that they should have ear. So they have ears on the other side. You take the inner ones, and you mix up the inner ones, not a problem. But if you take a purple, you put them on the outside, that's where the problem happens. Says Rava, what are you talking about? There's a view and there's a view. Some people have the ocean view, some people see, well, I don't know what. Different views. Ruin it. Inside it, you can't change a single parasha. Inside, you take the inner one and you put it on the outside. And take the inner one and put it outside. Outside the inside. If you mix up the two inner ones, and two outer ones, less than I don't have a problem. What's the difference? Why is the inner and the outer a problem? The one that has to see ear, he has to have one side that has ear next to the outside of the tefillin. It's not. He doesn't have that ear. What are you laughing, Leiby? It says in the Gemara, like a chazi. He doesn't have the view. And the one that has to be inside, he gets that the apartment facing a wall. All of a sudden, now he has a view. He says also when you switch up the outer ones, it's also a problem. The small. You're supposed to see the view from the right, and now he has it on the left. Says Rava, there's no difference what you mix up. Anytime you switch a parasha to the wrong location, puzzle. Another halach from Rav Chanan in the name of Rav. So I don't know if you guys are going to remember this. I had a problem with this. I asked Yoshi to make this beautiful picture right here. There's certain things I remember. Now I'm starting to remember. To put the ritzur right through this is halach l'moshe Sinai. It's called a ma'avarta. So if you speak Hebrew, it's easy to remember. It's a ma'avarta. It's la'avar, to go through. A pathway. Now, what is this square called? It's called a ktsitza. And what is this bottom part called? Especially this part that folds the Torah Tachtoina. This is how you close up the tefillin. That's called the Titura Tachtoina. This part on top is called the Elyaina. Okay? So especially the bottom one is halacha l'moshe Sinai. The Torah, the tefillin, halacha l'moshe Sinai. This blue part right over here, that it folds. It's actually, I wanted to play a game with you guys. It didn't come out the best, but how many halacha l'moshe Sinais are you familiar with in tefillin? Here, throw it out. Go. What do you got? The shin. Very good. The shin.
Square.
The ritzuas, we said.
Black. Must be black.
What part? The ritzuas, black. What else? That's in the Torah, but okay. I'm talking square. Square is halacha l'moshe Sinai. Very square. Yeah. What else?
The hair is coming out.
The gidin. Gidin. Very good. That has to have sinews coming out. Halacha l'moshe Sinai. What else? Shin. Shin. We said.
So what is it, about 7, 8?
This part, the titura. This is another square where they put the sewing. You see, that's according to one pshat. That also has to be. That's the mavarta we just clicked on. The mavarta is halacha l'moshe Sinai. What else? Oh, the kesher of the tefillin. That's the charitzin. And what else? That kesher, that daled right over there, that's a daled. And there's two things over here. First of all, to put a daled. Second of all, it faces the nice way to you. You see the daled like this, and if it's upside down, it's oy vavay. It's a big problem. If you flip it inside out by mistake. V'noyem labar. The noy should be on the outside. Okay. So that's what we're learning basically today. There might be more. I don't know. This is what I found in today's sugya. Omar, what? What, that it should be made from behema? I don't know. I don't know. It could be. Let's go. Let's find the whole thing.
I don't think it's halacha l'moshe.
Omar Abaya, ma'abarta the tefillin halacha l'moshe Sinai. This part where the ritzua goes through is halacha l'moshe Sinai. But Omar Abaya, shin shel tefillin halacha l'moshe Sinai. How do you make a shin? This is very, very interesting because the halacha says chok taichas, meaning if I take a chisel and I chisel out a shin, it's not a shin. That is no good. Why? Because it existed there before. I removed the material around. So if I were to take something, the shin is not glued onto your tefillin. Pay attention. the shin is part of your tefillin. They take this shin, which is inside, it embossed versus debossed, and they put it onto they squeeze it onto the leather. Obviously, they put a piece of metal inside over here, and they squeeze it. Now what happens? A shin pops out. That's no good. That's chok toichos. That would be terrible. But at least they get the whole tzur of the shin. Then they paint it green, whatever. And then they push it, they wet. Oh, by the way, you have to wet this leather, and then you could play with it a little bit. And then they push it back in to where it's smooth, but it's messed up a little bit. It's like the shin, but smooth. And right over here, this is perfect. Your tefillin also should, unless it's, older or whatever. Once it was a little problematic if they put glue, not. But even though your tefillin look like a square and they're touching, they shouldn't. Each compartment should be separated. So you should take a very thin piece of metal. You should be able to. I don't recommend it on your tefillin because of but you should be able to go all the way down to the bottom. That's what the Gemara says at this point. And shot number 2 is that the shin, and look at your tefillin, you'll notice that the shin, the bottom, the point of the shin is all the way on the bottom. That's why we're makbid on both. That your shin should get to the bottom of the titayra, plus that each charitz should be nice and go all the way down. He says, as long as you see, you could tell that there's a groove over here. It doesn't need to be all the way down to the bottom. Even a little bit. If you could see with your eye, great. I'll kill for the tefillin, your cloth of the tefillin, tzarich lemivdekei. You must make sure that it doesn't have any holes in it. I feel bad. I don't want to. Okay, whatever. This is the cloth of tefillin. You have to make sure that it doesn't have any holes in it. Why? The dilma is beirus. It has a little hole. Now, when you write on it, it's not a whole writing. It has to be whole. And if it has a hole, it has to be whole with a W, W-H. And if it has a hole, H-O, it's no good. Don't worry about it. You don't have to check it. The actual pen, the quill, is going to bump on it and see that there's a hole. The fact that our ritzuos are black, or maybe do me a favor, pass me my tefillin, please. Are black, that's halacha l'Moshe Messina. Meisvei asks the Gemara, tefillin, ein, koshin oison, ein, koshin oison, ela b'minon. These ritzuos must be made from animal leather, just like the boxes. But look at this. It says ben yerukos, yellow or green, ben shchayros, black, ben levanis. The ritzuos could be white. They could be adumas layasa. There's one color you cannot do: red. Mipnei gnai v'davar acher. Perhaps you have a wound or something, and it looked that's blood from a wound, or somebody's with his wife, maybe got stains from that. So, which is a pella. I mean, you can't wear tefillin, but okay. People will say. We had a story that a Talmud of Rebbe Kiva showed kosher tefillah of Bilshon shel tcheles. So this is what he did. He used these for his tefillin. He didn't use leather. He used blue. Rebbe Kiva didn't say anything. Is it possible that tzaddik saw something? He didn't say anything. Yes. He didn't see. A lot of times he'll say, if this gadol hadar let his son do this and this and that, obviously it's okay. Maybe he didn't see, maybe he didn't notice. Interesting, in the Gemara Shabbos, Daf Kuf Chav Zayin, I didn't tell the Israelis yesterday, I'll tell you guys. Rebbe Kiva was working for somebody, turns out that's Rebbe Eliezer, and he didn't pay him. And Rebbe Kiva was down the Kavschus. It's a Gemara about down the Kavschus. He says, maybe he has fields, no, maybe he gave it away. Maybe he has this, no, he didn't have it. He was Magdish. And then at the end, it turns out that's exactly what happened. Rebbe Eliezer was, why? Because he didn't want his money to go be Yerusha to his son.
And then later on, that boy, he said, I'm not going to give you, if you're going to go learn, I'm going to cut you out of my will.
Right.
And later on, it ends up being that son, because ends up learning with Rabbi Akiva together, the whole thing came full circle.
Mm-hmm. But this is the natural. It's unbelievable. This argamon. So he was using argamon. Rabbi Eliezer didn't say a word to him. Is it possible that the tzaddik saw his son do something? He didn't say. He didn't do macha. Yeah, it's possible. He simply didn't see him. Had he seen him, he wouldn't allow him to wear it like that. It says, you see that you can do your ritzuas out of green, yellow, or white, not only black, like asher. Once again, the outside, bachutz, must be black, the inside could be white. But the Gemara asks, if you tell me it's the inside, what's the embarrassment? Zimnin the mishapchele, like you saw in the video, sometimes it flips over. Tana, tefillin, mirubais, halacha l'moshe Sinai. Tefillin must be exactly square, mamish square. Mirubais halacha l'moshe Sinai. Omer papa betifron ubalach soinon. So that's what Rabbi Schoenberg was saying, that they take and they sometimes they just make the box by itself and they make the bottom by itself and they sew it together. You have to be careful when you sew it that you don't pull the threads too strong, glue together. But when we sew our tefillin, don't make it too tight. Ubalach soinon is, wow, this is the whole. We'll use this later. Let's talk. Okay, we'll use this for a second. Balach soinon. The Gemara says that if this is 1 inch, each side is 1 inch, then the diagonal is 1.4. In math, it's a little different. 1.4, 1.4, something like that. But the point is, it's 1.4. Kol amso birubua amso v'trei chumsha balach soina. When you have 1 inch from here to here, then it's 1.4 over here. So you measure from here to here, if it adds up to 1.4, and over here to here is 1.4, so you know you have a perfect square. So you need the balachsin also. Because look, you could have something like this, very interesting. Each side over here is exactly 1 inch, but it's crooked. And how do I know it's crooked? Because the what do you guys call the balachsin? The diagonal is, the blue line is much longer than the red line. But every side is exactly 1 inch. It's just 1 inch like that. It's a little bit verkrumped. That's not a good square. That's why I have to check the blue and the red lines, or the purple in this case, purple and red line of the diagonal, to make sure that also adds up. Let me say, have a raya. It says, if you make a round tefillin, it's dangerous, and you don't get a mitzvah from it. So you see, you shouldn't make round. Over there, we're not talking about round. We're talking about more that it's like a walnut round. The Gemara also started off, according to the Schattenstein, the art scroll. The Gemara's question was also that it's like a ship shape, that it's dangerous. But the Gemara is saying that the point is not that it's round and there's a sakana. The problem is that it's sakana. In other words, it's made like a walnut. You can't prove to me that a round tefillin this way is possible. The only thing you can prove is that if it's this way, like here, we have a little bit of a. If it looks like this, like a walnut, there's a problem. Omer Avuna, tefillin kozman shepnei tavlo kayemes kshera. Tefillin that have a hole in it, as long as the inside, the hide of the bottom inside, this part right over here, is there, we're okay. What does that mean? Just to show you, I'll show it again, with a special light. When you turn off the lights and you put a special light, you can see where the light runs away from. And they put this piece of wire in, and if it's small enough, if there's a hole there, they toss this box that they worked on for 5 months. Very, very painful. So he says like this: if there's Rav Chizda Amar, Nifsiku Shtayim Ksheris, if there's 2 holes, I'll show you in a second. 2 holes in two compartments, it's kosher. Shalish Psulas, if there's 3 holes, puzzle. Amar Rav Hadam Shtayim Ksheris, this that you say. 2 of them are kosher. Le'amar Nelazeh Shalei Keneged Zeh. So we have some pictures, and I'm going to show you a video real quickly. These pictures basically come from the art school. We just upgraded them a little bit. If the holes are facing each other, compartment to compartment, this is where it's possible. But if next to each other, two compartments next to each other, but the holes are facing, number 2 is facing to 3, that's not a problem, because number 1 is facing to 2, and number 2 is facing to 3, they're facing away from each other, not a problem. This is a problem, where they face to each other, that's a problem. When they face each other, it's only when it's brand new. If it's old, it's not a problem. Why is it not a problem? Why is it not a problem? Because it's not a problem in the leather. It's a little old, so it got a hole. If you have new leather, why does it have holes? It's the problem in the hole in the leather. How do you know what's old, what's new? Oh, there's another piece. Rabbi Gitman wet this for me, so it's a little, wow, it has flexibility. So basically, if you grab this and I go like this and I pull it, and it comes back to where it is, then you know that's atikasa, that's old, and it's fine. But if it stays in one place, then ve'idach chadasasa, that would mean that it's new. Zog Gemara daf lamed hey, amud beis, v'inami ke'eichad dechim mitlibei b'masna. If you were to pull these ritzuas like this, you pull. So if you pull an hour tefillin, this doesn't happen. You pull, okay, you'll break your ritzuas maybe. You're not going to break your tefillin. But you pull the ritzuas, it comes back to you. It seems like the whole tefillin would come out of shape and snap right back, because they were made out of the medaka. And if not, then you know it's an older one. Abai Havi Yosef came to Rabbi Yosef. Abai was sitting in front of Rabbi Yosef. His ritzua snapped. Now, we're talking about it snapped after the kesher of the tefillin. Somewhere around there. Right over here. Boom. So he says, can I tie it? Can I go like this? Just take it, I don't know, make a knot. Be beautiful. Mamish. Like this. Shmak. You have to have, it has to be nice. It has to be, Rashi says, it should be whole. It looks terrible like this. So I'll do it better. I'll bring it to a seamstress. She'll sew it from behind. I'll make sure that you don't see the stitches. When you look at it, it looks pretty nice. You always have to look at what. If you have the right shear, let's say the shear is up to here. We're going to see soon. How many from this down? If you have the right shear, and then you have something left over afterwards, it got snipped. Kosher. But that Milsi says Gemara, but something doesn't make sense here. If you have leftover, your tzitzis are made out of tchelas. It's passing the Torah, and you have leftover from. I'm not going to show you the whole video, but just to remind you, you have ezov. You have certain times with the paraduma, you take it and you sprinkle with it. You don't have the right shear. Sherim, awesome. And why? So let's do this real quickly. Rabbi say there's new things. Even people that just walked in for shachas are going to learn something new. The parshiyos inside your tefillin, they themselves are kaddish. They themselves are kaddish. What about the boxes? Kaddish or not kaddish? Kaddish. What about the ritzuas? Kaddish or not kaddish? Wrong. Tashmishe kedusha. They serve the kaddish. Okay? Parshiyah is kaddish. Boxes kaddish. They have a shin. Even though the ritzuas have the dalid, it serves the kedusha. Tzitzis, Rabbi say, what are tzitzis? Well, I just said that. What are tzitzis? Tashmishe kedusha, kedusha. What are they? Tashmishe mitzvah, not kedusha. Therefore, nafkamina la'alacha, Rabbi say. Somebody just, I think maybe Lauren Spiegelman asked me about this. You are permitted halachically to take your tzitzis when you're done with them and throw them in the garbage, because it's tashmishe mitzvah. You're not permitted to take your ritzuas and throw them in the garbage. You have to put them in geniza. Is it a nice thing to throw them in the garbage together with your rotten? Probably not. You put it in a plastic bag and put it in the garbage. What? You put tzitzis in geniza? Yes, always. Okay. You don't have to. You don't have to. Huk chazi ma'ayam advar. Next, I'm telling you. So the Gemara says, but that's different. Don't bring me a raya from Tashmishay Mitzvah, the tzitzis that tore all the way at the end, yeah? Sometimes your tzitzis rips right over here. They had the proper shear in the beginning and they ripped. Okay. But not by Ritzua. Ritzua is different. It's Tashmishay Kedusha, it's different. As the Gemara, so you're telling me that a Ritzua needs a shear? What is the shear? Pshat number one is the tzara of the thumb. What's the tzara of the thumb? The finger right next to it, the index finger. What does that mean? Some say it's the middle finger. Rav Kahana machvi kafuf, V sign like this. The distance. Ritzuos have to be that long. From the kesher I'm talking about, that long. Next pshat is loser, like that. You go like this. So it's much longer. Let's just do two more lines. Rabba Kotalu Pashut Vishadilu. Rabba would. I had a friend that walked into the Bismerish like this. I'm allowing myself to do it also with the he took the Ritzuas like this.
He
went like that. He put the Ritzuas in the back. We don't do that. And then Ravacha B'Yakov Kotalu. He had he did some nice design over here like this. Who knows what he did? Some sort of the kids are so that they shouldn't go all over the place. He did a whole little thing. Okay. Good luck for me, Chakras. I'm doing it. Like this. Something nice like that. Or Marbere the Ravna of it done. But Marbere the Rav did like us. He put the two in the front. And Shalom Yisrael, Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDY.com.